Good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. The time is now 8:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am going to go solo tonight. My guest, David Cobb, had to step away and attend to a local Green Party matter. We will be rescheduling with David. But in light of the People's Summit that is going on in Chicago, and in light of Debbie the Sane Progressive's recent video regarding the draft Bernie for a People's Party movement, and regarding many Green Party members who don't quite understand the concept behind draft Bernie or the concept of building coalitions. I want to talk tonight in a very somber way. There's no excitement in what I'm about to say, unfortunately. It's a very, very heavy feeling I have. I see an awful lot of folks. They're down, they're depressed, they're angry, they're suspicious, they are judgmental, they are looking through a lens of constant cynicism. And we have a movement, an opportunity, a real opportunity to make change in this country, with or without the electoral process taken care of to our liking. And so much of what that entails involves understanding that there are going to be multiple strategies, multiple ways of getting the people out of the duopoly. For many, many, many years, the Green Party has worked diligently to try to build a party outside the duopoly. And to their credit, they've made tremendous strides. But to actually crush the establishment, we need a massive amount of people. We need a massive movement. And it can't just be based on angry cynicism. Some of it has to be based on knowledgeable, thoughtful, coalition building, mentally challenging, but yet at the same time, honestly seeking to build just the coalition. And so you look and you realize that the Green Party has done amazing things. They have a tremendous platform, even if they don't have as much support as it would be, you would think they would have, given how disgusting the Democratic Party is. So you look around and you say, okay, so you got the Progressive Independent Party. They haven't really fully established themselves, but they're building a tremendous coalition. And you also have the draft Bernie for a People's Party group. These three are all coming together. These three are kind of the same aspects of the same people with different strategies, but they're all coming together. And then, of course, you have Socialist Alternative and others. But let me tell you right now, the draft Bernie for a People's Party approach is, people are bastardizing it for some reason. I don't quite understand it. Maybe it's that they don't want to understand, and that might make me almost as angry as the folks that don't understand economics. Because it's not about you if you're already outside the duopoly. It's not about you being in love with Bernie Sanders. It's not about you, hero worshiping Bernie Sanders. It's not about them hero worshiping Bernie Sanders. It's about them understanding that the Democrats that are trapped in the party already know the Green Party exists. They do. They know the Green Party exists, yet they won't leave the Democratic Party. No matter how corrupt the Democratic Party is, they won't leave the Democratic Party. So what are you going to do? Are you going to say, well, if it's not green, or if it's not this, or if it's not that, then we're not, screw it, right? Well, no. You'd have to be an absolute moron to not realize that there's got to be a Dem extract to pull those Democrats out of the party. So Bernie Sanders, whether he comes out or whether he stays and does his own thing, is irrelevant. They are fighting tooth and nail to try and get Bernie to come out to finish the revolution he started. But even if he doesn't, for those of you who are already outside the Democratic Party, this is not necessarily meant to speak to you. Why people don't get that, I don't fully understand. It might just be that their mind is myopic. It may be that they don't want to win. It may be that they don't understand, and so rather than ask questions, they just get angry and say things. I don't know. But the draft Bernie for a People's Party is intended to pull people out of the Democratic Party. It's intended to give them a smooth transition from what they feel safe with and bringing them out of the duopoly. This is just the way it is, because you cannot win. And here's the thing. Everybody says the independents are the largest voting bloc of them all. Well, let me tell you what I see independents doing. I see independents getting angry and raging at other independents for trying to do independent things, to do things to pull people out of the Democratic Party. That's what I see. I don't see coalition building in that regard. I see a whole lot of anger, a whole lot of cynicism, a whole lot of not in any way, shape, or form making the slightest attempt to understand what the goals are. And that is very troubling. It's deeply troubling. Because in order for us to win, we have absolutely got to pull them out. Because listen, if you just look at the people that have voted, it's a very, very small percentage of Americans that actually participate in the electoral process. If we knew how to get them off their asses to vote, if we knew how to get them engaged and entertained and energized and willing, it would have already been done right now. Billions and billions and quite frankly, trillions of dollars have been spent trying to get out the vote, have been spent to try and get commercials out to people to get them invigorated to get into the process, and it still hasn't worked either. So you're left with a group of people, quite frankly, that is motivated to be a participant in the electoral process. And so out of that group of people that's willing to participate in the electoral process, we don't have enough people that are woke or that are willing to unite, because they're all so very, very, very smart, and they're all so very, very savvy, and they're special, and they've got the only answer to uniting, which oftentimes is dividing, not uniting, right? So nobody here, the draft Bernie people, are not trying to bring people into the Democratic Party. Folks that say that are missing the point entirely. It's infuriating, to be honest with you, okay? It's not because they have to buy into what they're doing. It's because they misrepresent it so horrifically, okay? So horrifically. And it's like being obtuse intentionally. It's like throwing pennies at a forehead. It's like dense. I don't understand it. This Green Party that exists, and the Progressive Independent Party that exists, and the draft Bernie for a People's Party that's trying to exist, etc., is all a strategy for coalition building. The Green Party is a party is a party. And these other folks have already heard the pitch. So you got to go out there in stages and pull them out, extract them from this very, very, very cancerous environment that they're in. Put yourself in a position of somebody who's not outside the duopoly for a minute. And put yourself into that position of thinking that the only chance you have to participate and actually get something done is within the Republican or the Democratic Party, because there is no third party that's viable. You've heard this before, have you not? I know you have. I know you've heard it before. The Green Party's not viable. Draft Bernie's not viable. PIP's not viable. This party's not viable. They're not viable. And if you keep saying it long enough, eventually you'll convince yourself, and there you'll stay stuck in the duopoly. And the cycle will perpetuate again and again and again. There is no escape. And when people see the people that are quote unquote woke as fuck, you know that whole thing, woke as fuck, and they see them shooting at each other, and they see them going, They're just sheepdogs. No, they're just this. No, they're just that. People all of a sudden say, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I quit. I check out. Screw it. So what's on TV? Oh, Real Housewives. Oh, good deal. This problem is not going away. It's not going away. People are getting discouraged. They're not getting encouraged. And I see an incredible amount of negativity. Now, I'm not talking about pushing people to dementor. Don't be a fool. I didn't say that. So don't make me say it. I'm saying within our external movement, this movement, pulling people out of the duopoly. When you see that happening and you shoot it down, you're missing the point. At some point in time, people are going to have to come together outside the party. And for those people who are greens, I love you to death. But guess what? The people that didn't want to be green still don't want to be green. I don't know why. Ask them. They don't want it. I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with they still buy into the Nader effect, which is stupid, but they do. Maybe they don't like some of the crazy things that they heard through MSM. Maybe they didn't like the inferences to Wi-Fi causing cancer, or maybe they didn't like the anti-vax herd immunity people, lack of herd immunity people, whatever their reason, okay? They have a reason, and it shows up every single cycle. So you've got a couple choices, right? The Green Party can continue to try and fight on its own, which I support 100%. Keep fighting. Or the Progressive Independent Party, it's trying to build a coalition, which I support. Keep fighting. Or the Draft Bernie for a People's Party, which is trying to extract Democrats from the Democratic Party to bring it to its frickin' knees. Now, are any of these strategies going to work? It's up to us, right? It's in our hands, so to speak. But if you're sitting there nonstop sniping the efforts of people trying to pull people out of the duopoly, whether you like their strategy or not, you're only hurting the cause. You're hurting each other. You're hurting the whole movement, because the people that were going to be out for the reasons that you're out are already out. They're already out. They already made that decision to dem exit a long time ago. And there are people still dem exiting today through different strategies. But at some point in time, you've got to make the decision that you're going to focus on positive solutions and not just spending all your time tearing down everyone else's effort. I don't know what we get out of that. When you tear down their effort, it does not lure them your direction. It doesn't do that. It does the opposite of that. It pushes them away. It repels them. It maybe emboldens the people that are already loyal to you, that are right there and locking in step, just like the duopoly, but outside the duopoly, but in there, they're doing their march because it's a religion to follow. But for those people that are still trapped in there, in this abusive relationship, that think they can somehow or another reform a party that has got so many layers of corruption, so many layers of blocking, that all the best efforts in the world will not be able to undo, because they've got safety valves built in to every single bylaw. Every single bylaw that they have out there, the Democratic Party has blocked insurgencies. They have made it so that it's damn near impossible to even get look in Ohio. They're freaking backing Jerry Springer over Nina Turner, folks. I don't know what more you need to see than that, right? And yet, these folks stay stuck in the Democratic Party. Many of them would leave if Bernie were to leave the party. So Draft Bernie for a People's Party is looking to do that dem extract. So why is it that people shit on that? Can you help a brother out? Can you help me understand why anyone would have anything at all to say about that. I can understand why a vote blue sycophant wouldn't like it. But I cannot for the life of me understand why a green or just an independent or any other person would have a whine or a bitch or a complaint about that. They're taking the people that didn't follow the first 3 or 4 waves, and they're trying to bring a 5th or 6th or 7th wave out of the party. Folks, this is what it's going to take to get those people out of the party. And then the People's Party is the collaboration of all the above. It may end up in the Greens, who the hell knows? But you've got to get the people out of the Democratic Party. You've got to take and put a major dent into the duopoly. Because the duopoly has a decided interest in keeping third parties out of the picture. If we don't do something radical to pull those people out, they will not change. The very mechanism you want change from is run by the duopoly. The only way to end the duopoly is to pull people out of the duopoly and bring the pitchforks and the torches out and friggin' build some parties and coalitions and win some damn elections. Build the infrastructure, build this whole machine, if you will, to take on those entities. If that doesn't in any way, shape, or form sound like something you understand, then you shouldn't be shitting on the parties and the people's efforts that do understand. If you don't understand, it's okay. Nobody said you had to be the one that got everything. Everybody's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Don't beat yourself up too bad. But in this case, in order for us to get the active voters, the people who are actively involved in civic behavior, that are willing to be participants in politics, and are willing to vote, and are willing to activate, some of them are stuck in the Democratic Party, and we got to pull them out. Some of them are even in the Republican Party, who went over there because they despised Hillary Clinton, and rightfully so. Now, should they have gone to Trump? No way. But what were their alternatives, Jill? Well, they made a decision. They didn't want the Green Party for whatever reason. This is a fact. Doesn't matter whether there was massive election fraud. It wouldn't matter. There wasn't that much election fraud that we would have won anything. Do you understand me? I hope you're hearing me. There is still a pull to these Democrats that are trapped in the party. That's the deal. We have got to craft the strategy to extract them out as they are, not beating them over the head because they aren't smart enough, sharp enough, good enough, whatever enough, woke enough. You need to have the sheep too to win elections. Isn't that terrible? Doesn't it suck that you can't all be the smart ones in the room to win? Sometimes you need the people that aren't quite as fearless and thorough and brave and fist in the air. Doesn't that suck to know that you need them too? Apparently it does. Apparently there are enough people out there that don't get this that would willingly shoot an entire movement in the foot just so that they can be right. Just so that they can appear a little bit edgier and a little bit more woke. But the reality is that the draft Bernie for a People's Party, if Bernie doesn't get elected, or it's not elected, if Bernie doesn't come out, they're going to find someone else to help lead it. It's still going to be a People's Party. It's going to still be a coalition party. And there are a lot of factors there that will pull them all together. I don't know what more to say than that. But I can tell you this. I've interviewed Nick Branya 2 or 3 times already. Nick Branya has spoken to me at length about his understanding of history and watching the way Lincoln was able to pull the folks out and start a third party. Every time there has been a third party, in fact, there has been a major figurehead that pulled people out and came with it. You don't have to like that. This isn't about whether you like it or love it or hate it. This is about efficacy. This is about effectiveness. This is about winning. This is about surviving and crushing the duopoly. And this is about building a true progressive party, a true progressive movement, and not just a bunch of splinter cells all over the place. Oh, I'm the Democratic Socialist of Judea, and I'm the Judean People's Socialist Alternative, and I'm over here as this, and I'm over here as that. You need everybody, folks. We ain't bad enough to win shit on our own. We aren't bad enough on our own to change the election systems, to change the voting systems, to change the way elections are done. We are not enough of us, and we are not committed enough of us. We need those people, folks. We need them. And to snub your nose at them is a fatal error. It is a fatal error, and all of us have to pay the price for that level of awesome coolness. That level of awesome coolness is exactly what will prevent us from building that coalition party that allows us to take on the duopoly. And then what are we left with, folks? The same shit we've been left with every other time. Fist in the air, angry as hell, no health care, student loan debt dragging us through the mud, friggin' no way to have any kind of meaningful existence other than working for the man and being miserable and getting nowhere and marching in place. To keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is the very definition of insanity. Draft Bernie is taking an approach, and it is trying to take a very, very radical approach by pulling these folks out. And if you watch Nick, you realize Nick understands what he's up against. He's a good guy. He really is smart, and he really believes in pulling this movement together. So does Erikel. If you haven't had a chance to talk with Erikel, she puts her whole ass on the line for this movement. She really does. You know? Her and I have had our differences of opinion, but I know for a fact that her heart's in this. She's been working her ass off for a very long time. And we, Real Progressives, were one of the very first people to sign on to helping them. Seriously, there is a coalition building. Stop shooting our partners in the forehead with your coolness. We have got to work this multiple angles, multiple ways to win. If you think one way is going to get it done, you're missing the boat, and we all lose. We all lose. I don't know if this is hitting you. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. I don't know if this is making sense. I don't know if I'm flailing about and I'm cool enough to make the kind of argument that you'll get. But I'm hoping that this calm approach that I'm trying to take tonight will resonate with you so that you don't bypass the things I'm saying and you actually hear the words I'm saying. Every time I hear someone say, "What about the Green Party?" I say, "I love the Green Party. The Green Party rocks." But for those people that aren't willing to go there, we've got to find a way to get them out so they're part of this coalition. Do you not get that? Or are you going to sit there and hold them at gunpoint and say, "You must vote for the Green Party. You must. You must be this special independent person," or whatever. You're a sellout. You're a this. You're a sheepdog. You're a that. Folks, wake up. The woke in this country amount to maybe the other end of the 1%. We're not talking about some massive amount of awakenings here. We are talking about still a relatively small yet vocal group of people that are woke. The vast majority of them are in twilight. They're kind of coming out of their stupor. Maybe they're on third beer. I don't know what you call it, but they're not quite woke. And whatever it takes, hashtag by any means necessary. Draft Bernie is the perfect antidote for the people that are afraid. Okay? And just so we're on the same page, okay? We have to still pass legislation. You are going to be held to to the same legislation, whether you opt out of the duopoly or not. Did you know that? I don't know if you got that or not. I don't know if you got that or not. But if the GOP passes a balanced budget, or some of these idiots, like, I know people love him, but like Dennis Kucinich, that sits there and wants to push the I Still Don't Need Act, and all of a sudden you get the cray-crays joining up, and I'm telling you folks, if you don't understand that we have got to find a way to pull this together, you are going to be impacted by all legislation, regardless of whether it's Republican passed or Democrat passed. You better have your foot in both areas so you can impact legislation with these people or build outside of the party. You better keep your eye on both. You don't have the luxury of ignoring that. Or if you think you do, then you'll be subject to all that stuff and will have not one bitch in the world there for you to play with. Because folks, let me tell you, the people that are voting and stuff like that, when I say voting, I'm talking about the elected officials. You are still going to be held to the laws they pass. Whether you like them or not, it's up to us to affect the inside and the outside. I didn't make the rules, guys. I'm just laying it to you straight. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. This isn't one of those things where you get to choose to be happy for it. The fact is, it's going to be hard work and it's not going to happen overnight. It may not even happen in the way that any of us want it to happen. But friends, it will happen if we keep pressing, if we keep fighting, if we keep working on getting people out of that party. I'm telling you right now, I support a Green New Deal like you wouldn't believe. Every step along the way, my entire work is based on showing you how to fund a Green New Deal. And I was going to have David Cobb on tonight to talk about election reform, so we would have some guidance, some further guidance on how to work within the system so that we can change the system. But if you guys keep kneecapping each other, if you guys keep slapping each other around and talking about sheepdog and controlled opposition this and blah, 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 that, it's just not going to happen, folks. Now, my kids have to suffer for your coolness. My children have to suffer so that you can be radically cool. Like Fonzie, like, hey. We've got to be smarter than that. I'm telling you. You've got to realize that there is no one path to extracting the Democrats out of that party. There is no one path. If there was, it would have already been done. The Greens have been there for a very long time, and it hasn't happened. Doesn't mean that it won't happen eventually. It just means I don't want to die waiting for it. So we got to get those Democrats the hell out of that party. So with that, my name's Steve Grumbine. I'm the founder of Real Progressives. And I thank you for your time. Have a good day, everybody. Good night. I guess Be Live is going to keep me live for a little bit longer.